This is JRAM.
And this is Billy.
And this is another edition of Hot Takes.
And today we're going to be talking about euthanasia.
And if you're wondering why, it's because this, of course, is the month of Halloween, as was stated in one of our earlier podcasts. No, it's my favorite quote. That is what goes on the gravestone, my friend.
Oh, okay.
This is the month of Halloween.
Here lies Ryan Armstrong. It's the month of Halloween.
That's right. And you'll love it. But it is the month of Halloween here at the JRAM and Billy Show.
Yeah.
So it's all spook all the time.
Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about euthanasia, James. So are there different kinds of euthanasia? Or
Well, most people, when they think of euthanasia, they think of putting a pet to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, you have a pet that's been hit by a car or seriously ill.
See, that's not what I thought about. When you was bringing up this topic, I was thinking about, like, prisoners.
Well, yeah, that is technically a form of euthanasia.
Yeah. Instead of electrifying prisoners or, hanging them, now we
give them a lethal injection.
Yeah, we give them lethal injections, and they consist of a few different kinds of drugs, and there's different ones that they've used over the course of time, but one popular one that they use for your pets is phenobarbital. Mm-hmm. But you can't really do that with humans, and really, honestly, you shouldn't do it for animals as well. And do you know why, James?
Because I'm guessing it doesn't actually kill them?
It doesn't break down in their bodies, so it leaches out of their bodies after they decompose, and they go into groundwater and stuff like that.
So we're all drinking dead pets?
No, well, maybe a little bit, I don't know.
Oh my God, we're drinking dead pets! We're drinking dead pets! Turning the freaking frogs gay!
Yeah, I learned about that because I was learning about that. When they blew up that whale that was...
Oh my God, that's like the best Facebook video I've ever seen.
Yeah, well...
If you haven't seen it, listeners, basically in the 70s, I think it is.
Yeah.
There's a beached whale near this town, and they decide that the best way to get rid of the whale is to blow it up with dynamite. Not just like a couple sticks. A lot of dynamite.
It pretty much like vaporizes like half of this whale and rains down on the city.
It destroys cars, buildings, injures people.
Yeah.
It's just giant chunks of blubber and whalebone and shit flying out of the air.
But it was funny because I was listening to that and they were talking about like different ways to like euthanize a whale or like get rid of a dead whale and stuff like that. And one of them is they can't put phenobarbital in it because when they drag it out to sea, it'll sink to the bottom and all of that phenobarbital is going to get in all of the creatures that eat that whale and stuff like that. So that means, if you were to do that to a pet cat or something, and then that pet cat gets buried and it leaches.
Well, it comes back to life.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
Pet Cemetery has taught us you bury your cat in the pet cemetery, you wait like a couple days, and then bam, it's back. But it's different.
Yeah. But it's different.
Yeah.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah, that's true. It's getting better at that, by the way. But sometimes dead is better.
So yeah, like there's they don't really use phenobarbital now for that. They use like a combination of a few different drugs now, and they use them for humans when they're doing the prisoner stuff. But this euthanasia that you're more focused on is...
Yeah, the one I focused on is the classic euthanasia.
Yeah.
It's the act or practice of painlessly putting to death persons suffering from painful and incurable diseases or incapacitating physical disorder, or allowing them to die by withholding treatment or withdrawing artificial life support measures. So it's basically like letting most of the time if it's committed by themselves, it's suicide, and if a doctor helps them, it's murder, but it's basically doctor-assisted suicide.
So it's like, hey doc, I got this brain cancer. It's really hurting my brains and my heads,
Doc, my brain not work good.
This is bad. We're making light of something really serious.
We're making light of Jason, basically.
Oh, God.
Pretty much what Jason had was a brain deformity.
But I don't know,
basically, if your quality of life over the next month is going to go from okay to absolute dog shit, then this might be an option for you.
And see, that's kind of like how I equate things is like, how is my quality of life going to be? People say, if... Like we were talking about in the Living Wills episode, we were talking about, if you were to be, incapacitated for the rest of your life, basically like be a vegetable, like most people don't want that, most people would rather have life support taken off. I mean, that's a form of euthanasia there in a way, if the patient isn't completely dead.
That's totally it.
But, I just like to think, is my quality of life going to be decent? If not, then why should I even be there? Otherwise, I'm nothing more than like an end table at that point. I'm like, I'm an inanimate object that just causes a burden for my loved ones and my family and everything.
That's the reason why so many people think that euthanasia should be allowed.
See, and yeah, I think it should be allowed on certain, bases. I don't think that it should just be like, oh, I'm feeling depressed. I feel like I should be able to legally off myself, like
No.
a la Futurama suicide
Well, yeah, but
boot.
this isn't what they're talking about. This euthanasia, it's not the average, like you said, it's not the average person who's going to request that.
Yeah, just
It's only
terminally
patients
ill.
like who are terminally ill with a definite loss in quality of life.
Think like Alzheimer's, something that's degenerative that there's no cure. It's gonna
Plus,
get worse and worse and
It
worse.
should be
until you die.
it should be every able-bodied person's decision when to check out. Like,
Yeah.
if you're sound of mind, you should be able to say, well, I know that I've seen how this goes for other people who have this disease or whatever. I think I'm going to check out now.
But there's a lot of controversy about this too, because the Hippocratic Oath for like healthcare providers is do no harm.
Mm-hmm.
And some doctors say, it doesn't have, like, assisting in death doesn't have anything to do with medicine. It's not doing anything to actually help a person. So therefore it is unethical for a doctor to administer assisting death measures. That's a rift among doctors right now about it. And a lot of doctors will vote against, bills that have to do with it, like death with dignity and stuff like that, because they're like, it goes against our Hippocratic Oath to do any harm, even if we're just supplying them with medications to do it. And
yeah, but they can still legally decide to not prolong life in cases of extreme suffering.
well, yeah. But even those states where they've legalized some of those death with dignity stuff, the patient has to be able to administer the drugs themselves. The doctors can't administer.
Well, yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
Do it.
Because, of course, the most famous doctor assisted suicide of all time, this guy, Jack Kevorkian, he's a modern-day Frankenstein, dude.
Yeah, and I've heard about him before, but I didn't know exactly how many
Dude,
people.
This guy is extreme. Let me tell you something. He was an American pathologist and euthanasia proponent. He's best known for publicly championing a terminal patient's right to die by physician-assisted suicide, which was embodied in his quote, "Dying is not a crime." Kevorkian claimed to have assisted at least 130 patients to that end. Dude straight up murdered 130 people.
But I mean, was it any of the patient's choice?
Well, here's the thing. He was nicknamed in the media Dr. Death. So
That sounds sinister.
yeah, well, in 1998, he was arrested and tried for his direct role in the case of a voluntary euthanasia and was convicted of second-degree murder and served 8 years of a 10-year to 25-year prison sentence.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, like, I did a lot of research on him. I won't go into it for the listener's sake, but like, he was like experimenting with dead bodies, like, transfusing blood from a recently deceased corpse into a living person, thinking that maybe the Pentagon would want to use it during wartime. He was like experimenting with fetuses and babies and shit. Like, the guy was a fucking modern day Frankenstein.
But in a way, did he like popularize this notion of, hey, should we
Well, yeah, but
euthanize people?
Yeah, that was his message. He still up until the time he died, he still went to different colleges and stuff, even though he no longer has a medical license. Because, that was pulled when he got charged with second-degree murder.
Yeah.
But even after all that, he still gave speeches and stuff about how good it is and how it needs to be accepted. But here's the problem. Mm-hmm. Well, he created 2 devices, actually.
You told me about these.
Yeah, he created 2 devices to help with this. One called the Thanatron. That sounds eerily like Thanos. And it turns out that Thanatron means death machine. It comes from the Greek Thanatos, meaning death.
That sounds like some sort of guillotine or something, or...
Well, no, they basically were both devices which delivered the euthanizing drugs intravenously.
Oh, so the patient would...
So Thanatron, basically, they gave the person a dead switch. They hit the switch, the drugs will enter the IV, they're gone. And then he had another machine, which was this gas mask, which was fed by a canister of carbon monoxide, and he called that a Mercitron, or mercy machine.
So they would suffocate to death in that one?
I guess carbon monoxide puts you to sleep and then you die.
Okay.
Like all the movies, they put the hose in the car window in the closed garage and they die of carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem with Dr. Kevorkian. According to the Detroit Free Press, 60% of the patients who died with Kevorkian's help were not terminally ill.
So they were just Were
And
they
at
people
least
who were actually
13
seeking to die, though?
Maybe, because at least 13 had not complained of pain, and the report further asserted that Kevorkian's counseling was too brief, with at least 19 patients dying less than 24 hours after first meeting Kevorkian, and lacked a psychiatric exam in at least 19 cases, 5 of which involved people with histories of depression. Though Kevorkian was sometimes alerted that the patient was unhappy for reasons other than their medical condition. So basically they revealed that a lot of the people that he helped didn't really qualify for this help.
Yeah, especially without the psychiatric counseling.
Yeah.
Because I think that needs to be necessary for this sort of thing. Because, I mean, people need to really understand the risks to benefits, for ending their life prematurely. Because, in my mind, James, I think it should be okay if someone is terminally ill with some sort of, illness that is just going to get worse and just a regressing illness. I think that something like that would be fine. Because, I mean, I know that if it were me, that's kind of how I would want to rather take my fate into my own hands, rather than let nature take care of, and me be
that's
pain,
why that's why, like we said, he needs the psychiatric reviews, and he should have done all this other stuff to make sure the person really did,
I just want to know,
qualities.
Did he patent the Thanatron? Because actually that sounds like a legit idea. Because like I was saying with those
well, that's basically what they do now. They took his design and that's what they do.
Well, no, some of them are done with pills and the patient has to be able to take them, and they can be up to 50 pills in a row of different things. And if the patient is Alzheimer's, they're not going to be able to administer all of those doses themselves. They can't have any help from the nurses. They're just to be supplied with it and then left to their own devices to do it. Because in the states where they've legalized
like $1
this,
Million Baby.
Well,
did you ever see that Clint Eastwood movie $1 Million Baby?
No.
Clint Eastwood trains this female boxer, Hilary Swank, and she's going for a championship, and she gets hit. There's a stool still left in the ring, and when she falls over backwards, she cracks her neck on the stool, and becomes paralyzed from the head down. So her head is fine, but everything below won't work anymore.
Yeah.
So her life is over. She can't be a boxer anymore. She's going to be in a wheelchair forever. She's going to have to be taken care of forever. And she tells Clint Eastwood she wants to go. So he takes a pillow and he smothers her to death. He euthanizes her in the hospital.
What?
Yeah, he takes the pillow. He just holds it until Hilary Swank stops fighting. And that's the
they
end.
would have known.
But no, that's leaving them to their own devices. You leave them alone with the pills, and the person just is here, Grandpa, take this. Here, Grandpa, take this.
No, the patient themselves has to take it themselves.
Yeah, but how do the nurses know? If they're supposed to leave them to their own devices, they'd have to leave the room.
Well, I don't know if they would have to leave the room. They just can't aid them in it. Here's a cup with all the pills that you need.
But there's nothing to stop a family member from helping them.
I think you could possibly be charged with murder if there was somebody to charge you. I mean, there's got to be a disgruntled family member. I'm just saying, it's touchy waters right now with the death with dignity acts that are going around. But
could you imagine?
Where is it possible to do that now?
Well, let's see. According to the very official website, www.mydeath-mydecision.org.uk. Here's some places.
Yeah.
Switzerland, and it's assisting suicide has been legal there since before 1918. You have the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands since 1981, both voluntary euthanasia and doctor-assisted suicide have been accepted for those who are experiencing unbearable suffering without the prospect of improvement. Although not legalized until 2002, the practices were initially tolerated under guidelines prepared by the main national legal and medical organizations. It's legal in Belgium, Luxembourg, Colombia, Canada. But now let's get to the most important one. USA, USA, USA. So where can you go to die here in this great country?
So as of 2019, and this is by deathwithdignity.org, it says, as of 2019, California, Colorado, the District of Columbia, Hawaii, Maine as of September, and New Jersey as of August this year, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington State all have death with dignity statuses. In Montana, physician-assisted dying has been legal by a state Supreme Court ruling since 2009. So there's quite a bit of states, especially out west,
Yeah.
that's got a lot of these.
Which kind of makes sense. You think of the Old West, you think of it as you live by your own hand, you die by your own hand. We take care of our own.
So
Also legal in Australia, by the way.
yeah, and we were talking earlier about different kinds of euthanasia, but did you mention the active and the passive euthanasia?
No, I didn't.
So active euthanasia is like doing it directly to a person, like I'm going to inject these drugs into your veins and that's going to kill you.
Oh, like what they tried to get Michael Jackson's doctor on?
Yeah.
Giving him those sleeping pills, like they said he injected him with the sleeping stuff.
Yeah. And then there's like, there's passive euthanasia, which is
what you were talking about earlier. It's up to the patient to do it.
That'd be like, well, it could be that, or it could be,
Indirect
in such a way like we're going to withhold certain forms of care for you, like I guess something like a do not resuscitate order, like, hey, if you code, we ain't going to do anything, or we're taking you off life support. It's passive because you're dying from it, So there's voluntary and involuntary euthanasia. Voluntary is it occurs at the request of the person. Involuntary would be, I guess, without
death, right?
Well, I guess it would be without the request of the person who dies. So I'm assuming
a family member takes them off life support.
Could be that, possibly even
a court order.
A court order, yeah, like a death row inmate or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just straight up assisted suicide, which it sounds like all of these kind of run together
a little bit.
But
you would do it, huh?
Yeah, if I was faced with like a terminal illness, I knew there was no coming back from it. I'm going to be in a lot of pain, and
but
it's
there
just
might
going to
be
get
a coming
worse.
out of it.
Like
what happens if you?
You think I'm going to bucket list and climb damn Mount Everest to terminally ill? Hell to the no.
No, but what if you kill yourself, and then literally 6 months later, oh, there's a cure now, and if you had just hung on for 6 more months, you would have been fine.
I don't know. I can't tell the future. Hindsight is 2020.
That's why
go with my
That's
best.
why I think it should be people's choice. But for me personally, I couldn't do it.
I don't know,
because it's kind of selfish.
Depends on what it is. It depends on what it is.
It's selfish and it's stupid. But in my mind, I feel like I know my luck. I would pick euthanasia. I would be helped. I would die, and then literally right after I die, or very very soon after I die, they've got the cure for whatever I decided to die of.
I just look at it like something that's going to take a lot less time for it to finally be over. Like if I know that I'm going to die, there's no way of getting out of it. There's no cure. I'm not going to bank on, in the next maybe 3 months, they're going to come across something they've been looking for the past however many decades.
But it could happen.
I'm not going to bank on that or bet on it. But they're showing on here, oral medications for euthanasia can be used. It says the alternatives can take relatively long to bring about death, up to 4 to 10 hours. But the IV drugs that lead to death, they can kill you in 15, 20 minutes. I'm saying if I can be like, peace out and be out.
Watch an episode of The Office real quick, Michael's Tots maybe. Hey, Mr. Scott, what you gonna do? What you gonna do to make our dreams come true?
Yeah.
But, I couldn't do it. Because knowing me, I know it's unlikely, but knowing me, that's what would happen. I'd get killed, and then right afterwards, we have a cure.
You think your life is a Twilight Zone episode, don't you?
Not necessarily, but I do feel like that a lot of the times my luck runs very stereotypically, shall we say. It's not necessarily bad. It's just like, in a movie or something, if the character did this, this is what would happen next, and that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. Now, what is interesting, though, is that, I was talking about the Hippocratic Oath and how it kind of goes against the do no harm thing. Like for veterinary services, it's very much like a part of their job. Euthanasia is like a normal part of
because it serves the benefit of the animal.
Yeah.
Just like euthanasia would serve the benefit of the human, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's an interesting subject.
It says what drug is used for euthanasia for humans. It's saying pentobarbital.
Do you think the prisoners die in 15 to 20 minutes?
Probably.
Do you think they give them the stuff that takes 4 to 10 hours?
No, I don't.
Just to torture them out. They're on death row.
I don't think that matters.
They belong there.
Well, they're killing them on behalf of the state. And so it's by the will of the people. So we're always going to choose the most humane way to kill somebody that we know of.
Are we?
For science. Well, I know the way that we use it now. It's saying pentobarbital, which may be the final killing drug in the series. But I know that it's several doses of different drugs. Like, I know that they give you, like Zimuran, which is going to make it to where your lungs don't work. It's going to paralyze your lungs so that you can't take air.
But you live through some of it.
They're also going to give you a drug to knock you unconscious and one that's anti-anxiety.
They should knock you unconscious first.
I think they do. They put you unconscious. They give you an anti-anxiety medication so that you don't convulse whenever they give you the pentobarbital. Yeah, they give you, before they give you the final dose of the killing drug, they give you a dose of Zimuran, which is the one that paralyzes your lungs. You're no longer able to take in air. Even if pentobarbital didn't kill you, you would die from suffocation because you wouldn't be able to.
Sounds like a gruesome way to go.
It sounds like it could be painful, and that's one of the That's one of the opposing viewpoints against euthanasia.
I mean, let's just cut heads off. Well, it's way quicker, less painful.
Well, the thing is they're unconscious. There's no way to know if they're in pain or not. So that's why there's this big question, like, is it really a humane way to go? The only way to really know is, I guess, to go through it. So,
all right, so let's put you in this scenario. You're in prison.
Oh, I thought you was going to say, so let's put you on the spot. Let's check on you in 60 years and see how it is. You're going to have to report to us. And
No. You're on murderer's row.
Yeah.
They're coming for you. It's your time. They ask what you want your last meal to be. What do you pick?
Surf and turf, man. Steak and lobster.
With maybe some fried oysters, some shrimp. I really love seafood, but they don't do that anymore.
We've time traveled back to the 50s, and as being from the future, they have arrested you and put you on death row. So that's what you order for your last meal?
Yeah.
I think I'd pick Five Guys.
I thought you was going to say Taco Bell. I swear to God. I was like so expecting you to be like, I think I want a beefy 5-layer burrito.
No, I think Five Guys. Like the biggest burger Five Guys makes with the biggest amount of fries. The best burger and fries. I think that's what I go with. But now they come to give you your drugs.
Yeah.
Do you plead for your life? Do you like, no, I'm innocent, I swear? Or do you accept your fate?
I think I would just accept my fate. I mean, hell, as far as we know, scientifically speaking, there is no better way for you to exit this life. Like, this is going to be the easiest, the best way, the most painless way.
So would you feel like you had won then?
In a way, I guess, maybe, in a sense. I don't know.
Like, haha, bitches, I'm getting the easy way out.
But see, even if I was like a criminal and I'd killed somebody to be on death row, even if they shot me by, even if they did like firing squad or like guillotine, like a moment of pain for all of this.
It might just be instant death.
Yeah, but even just a moment of pain wouldn't amount to the harm that I caused other people,
What if you get your head cut off? Your brain is still working for a second, and you see your body without a head.
It's almost in a way. See, like I've changed my views a little bit about the death penalty and stuff in recent years. I mean, like, yeah, in certain circumstances, I think there's some people that they have no hope, and I think that we shouldn't maybe, or child killers, or just people who are just completely mentally unhinged and cannot be rehabilitated in any form or fashion. Even if somebody's just rehabilitated, like in prison, and can actually function in like, the prison system as like a normal person in society, in that society. Even that would be better. But like, I would say if we can, life without parole would be the best way to go for most people.
Oh no, but like think of Brooks. We haven't seen Shawshank. So.
But see, this is the thing that I was talking about is if you were to murder somebody, like all the pain that you caused them and their family and all that stuff, and even if you were executed, like possibly a moment of pain, you would still be winning out, dude. Like without being, left by yourself in a prison, for the rest of your life. Having to live that sort of life, you've gotten all your freedoms robbed from you. I think that's honestly a better way to punish them.
Maybe.
Like, is just how I feel about it.
But then I feel like they get institutionalized and they just get used to it.
I hate that they leech off of our tax dollars and stuff like that. And I really hate how the private prison system are subsidized by our government.
That's how we all go. Then all prisons have to become private.
No, they wouldn't. No, I would much rather them be government run than private. 100%, because private institutions have their own interests. They lobby in Congress for all of these erroneous laws and stuff. I'm not even going to get into that. That's another hot takes episode.
Oh, you are getting heated.
Yeah, that is
let's
another.
Let's finish up euthanasia.
Yeah.
Pro or anti?
I'm for it, dude. Like if I had the option late in life to, not succumb to a very, terrible illness or something. Like, I mean, of course I don't expect to ever have to use this or anything.
Yeah.
But I'd like it to be on the books to be like, hey, you
can.
Yeah, I don't have to sit in a nursing home and wither away for a decade or so, forgetting my family. Like if I was to get Alzheimer's, not, count me out, dude. I'm gone. I'm just saying I would rather off myself than live through all of that.
I think I too am pro. I think if I had to pick, it would be pro because
really,
I think even though it's not
that
for
actually
me,
surprises me.
Even though it's not for me, I think it's just everybody's right to choose. I don't think we should shame people who are like, I've got 6 months left. Half of them, if not more, are going to be incredibly painful. I don't want to do all that nonsense.
But wait, like what? Okay, here's a question I got before we wrap things up. What do insurance companies do about this? I mean,
charge for it?
Well, I mean, like life insurance policies, they don't mean anything if you kill yourself. They're just like, sorry.
Yeah, then life insurance would work the same way. It would just be like, if you choose euthanasia, that's suicide.
But at the same time, the company would have had to pay that money 3 months down the road anyway. So it's like, it wouldn't really be a loss to them. It'd just be checking out a little quicker, Yeah, they would probably have to be a lot of documentation to prove, look, there's no possible way that they can come back from this. You're going to pay this money anyway. It's going to be administered by, physicians and stuff like that.
Maybe. I could see that it might be different. But I don't know. I think insurance companies would try to figure out a way to make it like, if you choose it, then we don't have to pay. You have to suffer if you want us to pay.
That sounds terrible, though.
They wouldn't phrase it that way, but I'm sure that would be.
In a way,
Yeah, but I'm sure that's how it would work.
I'm sure that's not how those European countries operate, though. I'm sure they're like, no, don't worry. We pay all your bills.
We take care of your family. No family left, no insurance to pay.
Somebody burned down my she shed.
Somebody burned down Cheryl's she shed.
Anything else that we need to know about euthanasia?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all.
Anyway, so we hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we have plenty more stuff coming out in the future. We have 2 more episodes
that's right.
This month of Halloween. And we're going to be doing a retro review on Halloween, the 1978
That's right.
classic.
We're revealing that with this episode. That next week's episode after this will be Halloween, the 78 John Carpenter classic.
Mm-hmm. And then the week following.
Are you ready, boys and girls? Oopa, 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 oopa. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. That's right. It's our Halloween Spooktacular.
And that episode is going to be a surprise. So we hope that you enjoy it.
If you want to follow us at Facebook at the JRAM and Billy Pod. You can follow us at Twitter at the same handle. Check out the description for our YouTube link. You can follow us on YouTube, and we do every now and then some videos that you might be interested in. And if you have any ideas for future retro reviews, future hot takes, or Wow That's Deep episodes, definitely send us a message on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, of course. Without further ado, this is JRAM.
And this is Billy.
Have a good night.